We are going to hear about why the EBU launched its own OTT service earlier this year, the type of content that's available, the approach to distribution, and then how that platform's going to evolve. And so I guess during this conversation, we might also hear some answers to some of the questions and some of the challenges that were posed earlier in the day as well. So Glenn, just to get us started, you're going to give us a bit of an overview, and you've got some slides to help you do it, haven't you?
Slides.
Yes.
Just nice for a Thursday evening, late afternoon, just before you head home. Great to be here. Thank you, George, for the invitation. Great to speak to all of you. I'm just going to ask a quick question before I start. Who here has heard of the EBU? Oh well, I'm talking to the industry, so it's not right. It's quite unusual to have such a show of hands because an awful lot of people know what the EBU is or what we do. Probably most famous for the Eurovision Song Contest, which I have nothing to do with, by the way. I'm working in the sports area. I'm just going to bring you on a very, very quick whistle-stop tour of what the EBU, what we're doing in sport. There's method to this, though, because it does inform the discussion that I'm going to hopefully have with George. So the EBU is the world's leading alliance of public service media, the largest in the world. Here's a couple of numbers if I can read them. I probably can't read them from this distance, but you can see that there's quite a bit of scale here, and I think therein lies the opportunity. 112 member organizations across 56 countries, and facing a population of over 1 billion people. It's not just Europe. We represent members in North Africa and some of the Middle East, and we have affiliate members also in the likes of Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Japan, China. So we have quite a large reach, and I suppose reach is really what I'm here to kind of talk about in the context of sport. What we do in sport is we jointly acquire rights on behalf of our members. We try to do that in a cost-effective way. Events like the Olympic Games, the Tour de France, the World Athletics Champs, FIFA World Cups, and ensuring that there's free to air access. The EBU is a non-profit organisation based in Geneva. We represent our members. Our members are the likes of the BBC and ITV in the UK, or France Télévisions in France, RAI in Italy, and the German broadcasters like ZDF and ARD. They'd be the bigger members, but obviously there's a whole plethora of other members in other countries. This is a little bit of a snapshot of the portfolio we have. So you can see that we were out of the Olympic kind of cycle for 3 cycles, but we're back in from 26 to 2032. And that was the most recent large acquisition. In terms of FIFA, the 2023 Women's World Cup was delivered by the EBU. Obviously, BBC and ITV showed that in the UK, and they would have bought those rights via the EBU. We have big worldwide rights, such as biathlon, not huge in the UK, but the number 2 sport in Germany. It's a huge sport in Germany and the Nordic region, kind of only second to football in those markets. And sports, kind of events like, iconic events like the Tour de France and World Athletics Championships, and quite a bit of other Olympic sports in that space. So Eurovision Sport, and we'll talk a little bit about it. We launched this platform in February. It's a very, very big play for us, and I'll explain a little bit later why. But I think the obvious answer for that kind of question in terms of why would you do something like this is without visibility for sport, there is no growth. And I think the market, particularly for tier 2 sports, has been broken for some time in terms of the old kind of agency model of sales market by market. I'm excluding football from this, but I'm talking about kind of all of the Olympic sports by and large, plus some of the other kind of, plus some other sports that are kind of strong in certain markets, but not, strong across the board. And they're really, really struggling to find exposure. And I think we found that with our own portfolio, where we didn't have a buyer in a market, it was just a dark market. So what do? You try and you go direct to consumer yourself, but you need some heft behind you. You need some support, you need some volume, and you need crucially marketing support and promotion. And that's what the EBU members do exceedingly well in terms of promoting sport and making it freely available. So the vision was to become the best destination for digital sport consumption across Europe and possibly outside Europe as well through aggregation. So aggregating all the content we have and harnessing and complementing the power of public service media brands. So creating a network of platforms across Europe by unifying our member platforms. Our members, obviously like the ones in the UK and further afield, are very well known for their TV and radio services. But I don't think they're that well recognized for having extremely strong digital platforms. In most instances across the European markets, we would be kind of in the top 3 digital platforms in each market. In many cases ahead of Netflix, ahead of Amazon, and I think we're kind of seen as the linear players, and that's true to a certain extent. But we're also very, very strong in the digital world. What we're trying to do with Eurovision Sport is unify all of that, bring it together, and have a common purpose. We've been around for 70 years, over 1 billion people. We've over 2,000 channels. I won't kind of go into all the details. They're some of the brands that are associated with the EBU. So the numbers speak for themselves. We've about 110,000 hours of content a year. On radio as well, 35,000 hours as well. So we've over 700 radio services as well. Now, this is what the new platform looks like. I won't spend too long on it because we'll talk to George about that. How it works is really where there is full exploitation for content in a market. There's no real necessity for our platform. So if that is full exploitation by the member, if there's no member exploiting the content will go on our platform. If a piece of content or a set of rights is partially exploited in a market, we will take a certain amount of that on the platform, and for the events that are on our member platforms, we will redirect to our member platforms. But I suppose the element that is quite unique about this is that we will embed our platform within our member platforms. So we will act as a channel within our member platforms where that is possible. That's not possible in certain members where there's no commercial exploitation. So we will we will have to stand alone or work with local federations to embed within them as well. So it's a kind of a redirecting process. So we never ever compete with our members. If they're showing the content, we will redirect audiences towards them. And the hope is that if they're not showing that content and someone goes to their platform looking for it, they direct towards us. Here's some examples. We've been doing it with France Télévisions. We're live on their platform for the gymnastics right now. European gymnastics is happening right now, and they're promoting us in France. And there's several other examples of the kind of promotion that we're getting across the board. Again, we're 3.5 months old. It is fairly embryonic. We have a lot of sports up now, but this is the whole dynamic. It's about creating markets where no market exists for sport, where sport is where certain sports are just not getting the visibility that they require. And a couple more examples. I won't go into too many examples. We believe in partnership with our federations. We're 70 years plus in existence, and we have many of these partnerships for 40, 50, 60 years. It's about kind of common goals, so we need to understand what our partners want. At first we're talking about things like sharing data. We will be able to share data with our partners. We will hopefully create a business model where we can share revenues at some point as well. But it's about, if our partners are not kind of meeting their objectives, then we're failing. So, this is about kind of achieving common goals, growing audiences where there are small audiences, niche audiences, creating visibility opportunities and creating sponsorship opportunities and commercial opportunities, as well as creating opportunities to gather data. That's just a quick whistle-stop tour. One stat that I'll leave you with before we start the conversation is we did some work with Ampere Analysis about 3.5 years ago. Ampere are based here in London, and one of the big stats that jumped out, one of the big findings that jumped out of that study was that over 2/3 of self-professed sports fans in Europe do not have access to pay TV services, pay sports services. That means that no matter what way you're looking at it, you're getting an incomplete data set when you look at the fan base that you're currently measuring. If you are exclusively on pay services. So what we're saying is, look, we can help sports grow, we can help understand the audience better. We want to collaborate and work with our existing partners and new ones, as we're every week we're announcing new partnerships. We hope this can be a complete game changer for sports that are really struggling to find a foothold in markets.
Excellent. Thank you, Glenn. So let's start with the content, if we can, and that's obviously something you've already touched on, but can you just go into a little bit more detail about the content strategy? So where is that live content coming from? How do those conversations kind of begin as well in order to get that content onto the platform?
Well, we started this process, this whole, when I took over the role about just 4 years ago now in June. We started examining, our own portfolio of sports rights. So we started with our own sports rights, and we said, look, we have a problem. I don't know if many of you are aware, but Eurosport was originally founded by the EBU. It was then sold on to TF1 in France, and then it was subsequently sold to Discovery. We've a very, very strong partnership with Discovery. We continue to have one with Tour de France. We're the main rights holder in Europe, and we sublicense to Discovery, but also the Olympic Games now. We're partners right the way for the next 10 years on the Olympic Games. Huge deal for all the broadcasters across Europe and for Discovery. But their change in strategy resulted in them not taking all the, Eurosport used to take all of the content that the EBU acquired and cover dark markets, but they were increasingly looking, and this is their absolute right and complete freedom to do so. They decided they weren't going to look at all those sports, so swimming, gymnastics, athletics. Those sports were now becoming more and more difficult to shift. To make sure that they were covered in every single market. Not so much the European Championships or the World Championships in any of those sports, but when you start going down to the indoors in athletics or the short course in swimming or the rhythmic gymnastics, etc., you're kind of beginning to struggle. So we had a problem. So we weren't serving our partners as well as we could have. So we said, look, there's a lot of content there that has a value that's not been seen. So we need to do something with that. And we were already streaming it, but we just weren't promoting it. And it was just a hole that we were throwing money into. There was nothing coming back to cover the cost. So we said, there's got to be a better way of doing this. There's got to be a way of aggregating the content, just as we do in an Olympic Games, where these sports that are quite small become much bigger because of the aggregated effect, and promotion. And that's what we do incredibly well at the EBU in terms of our members. We can promote events really, really well and make them grow because we have this huge access to this. It's a television audience of 800 million people that we face. It's over a billion population. So in there lies an opportunity, and not just for the sports that we have in our portfolio, but the ones that we're currently bringing onto the platform. We're providing an opportunity to create markets where there are no markets.
Yeah. And you mentioned that 3.5 months since launch. In maybe percentage terms, where are you at the moment in terms of the amount of content that you've got on the platform? Where do you want to be? In a year's time, 2 years' time.
We're a good distance down the road. I don't want to put a limitation on the number of sports that we can carry. Obviously, there is a limitation at some point, but I think we would like to get to kind of 30, 35 different sports on the platform. We've probably got about 12, 13 now, in addition to our own sports. And again, they're not kind of regular. We did the boat race, for example. The first time ever we put that out across Europe. We're doing horse racing. We've never engaged with horse racing. So these are new sports, but horse racing provides regularity. The boat race is a one-off event. So what we want is kind of more and more regular content. We're probably I'd say about a third of the way there in terms of content, but we're putting the word out there. We're eager to talk to federations, rights holders, who are kind of looking at. I was looking at cricket, for example. They were talking about the 100. I'm a big rugby fan. I'm from Ireland, so it's a big thing in Ireland right now. But it's always a big problem for me looking at across Europe. Rugby is not seen outside of. Very, very. It's not absolutely kind of ubiquitous across the entire continent. When I start going further east, away from France and Italy, it kind of disappears, and it's not as big a factor. So I think we can do a job for sports. I think we can really put it out there. And it doesn't mean, it's about, we don't need exclusivity. That's another thing. We can help promote own branded platforms as well. So, I think to answer your question, sure, we're probably about a third of the way there, but I don't necessarily have a number in mind of sports that we can top out with, Yeah.
And what about the commercial aspects to the platform as well? So how are you paying for it? How is it funded?
So we partnered with Nagravision, the Kudelski Group. They're a Swiss-based company. They have a huge office based in Phoenix, Arizona as well. They're a large company. They are our partner in this. It's not a vendor kind of client relationship. And they're plowing a lot of money into this on the tech side. We're plowing a lot of rights into it and a lot of know-how and a lot of an ability to kind of bring the content on board. So we know where we're strong at the EBU, we know what we're good at, but we know what we're not so good at. We're not a tech company. So we brought that tech partnership on board, and it's very much a partnership. It's very much about growing it together. They've been very responsive. They weren't so kind of visible in the sports world. I think they'd done Watch Hockey and a few others kind of OTT platforms. But this was a big play for them as well. So they're a significant company, but this is a significant play for them. So it's not like it's disappearing. So the tech side is very much with them. We're working with Two Circles on the social media side as well. They've just started this week, actually working with us, and we hope to grow that as a kind of a bigger relationship as well.
And you mentioned earlier about Eurosport and the EBU being involved in the founding of that and the launch of that, and then the sale of that. Is that the ultimate aim here? Do you envisage something similar happening with this?
No, I think because this will be something that will be very much dependent, within Europe certainly, this will be something very much dependent on the support and promotion of both our members in each territory and our federation partners. So, if you're embedded within the France Télévision platform, you're not going to be able to sell that to somebody. Now, we can take investment, and we could, in fact, look at creating channels within that platform. So once you create that network, you've got this incredibly powerful network, there could be opportunities to create kind of all those sports on the platform currently, it's effectively a channel for them. And we can then promote kind of peaks in the kind of seasons, on the various seasons. So there's opportunities around that. There's opportunities ex-Europe as well. We can, down the line, again, free is our space, but that doesn't mean that pay is ruled out down the line in terms of some upsell opportunities, in terms of some opportunities to look at monetization beyond advertising, sponsorship, and what we can do with things like promotion of ticket sales and I think there's definitely subscription plays down the line as well.
And you mentioned data earlier, and it's been a recurring topic that's come up throughout today. Can you just go into a bit more detail about the kind of data that you are able to gather and how that is shared with some of those federations as well, and with your members?
Yeah, again, it's fairly embryonic. So it is, we're working, for example, we have a long-term partnership with World Athletics. We're rights holders for many years with them. Our relationship goes out to 2029. So, part of our agreement at the time was that we would work on kind of building data. I mean, that huge funnel that we have, that no barrier to entry piece gives huge opportunities to gather information on who the fans are. So it's effectively, you must sign on. That's the deal. You sign on and you must give consent. But it's kind of knowing where your fans are. It's kind of geolocation. We talked about AI. We'll be looking at AI solutions for different languages in terms of commentary. That's a big play for us, and we're investing in that right now. We're working with some accelerator programs on that, Hype being one of them, in terms of trying to push the AI agenda with regard to commentary and highlights and things like that. And production as well will be another aspect of it. But in terms of the data, it's really at that stage, and we will hopefully then look at more granularity about kind of the types of sports that people are interested in, kind of break down male, female, break down age group, etc. Down the line, obviously, as we grow the platform. But what we've seen is a huge appetite in the market from rights holders to kind of engage with us and to kind of say, listen, this could be potentially one of the solutions. We're not saying that we're going to be the panacea to everyone's ills. And I believe that there is a combination here between free exposure on TV, free or pay exposure on pay TV or pay services, and then this platform is a catch-all. It could be highlights, it could be on-demand content, it could be live. But predominantly though, we're looking at a live play, a live streaming.
Great. We're pretty much out of time, but I just want to make sure if anyone has a question for Glen, that they have the opportunity to ask him. Yes, just down towards the front here. I think 3 rows back.
Yeah. It's a very simple question. Obviously, you put up the QR codes for an iPhone and an Apple, but it is available on TV platforms as well. So things like Samsung and LG, etc., etc. Is that part?
We're not there. We're getting there. That we're developing. We're developing fast channels at the moment. We will hopefully be on. We'll be in discussions with other platforms. Other telcos, etc. Predominantly, we are at this point in time concentrating on the rollout to our membership. So, in other words, embedding within our member platforms, where we don't have a solution with our members in markets like the UK. Well, we will talk to ITV, obviously, but say Germany, for example, ZDF and ARD can't embed. They can promote us. They can kind of illustrate, look, this event can be seen here. We will look at other solutions in those markets in terms of, are there other platforms, connected TVs. Certainly in the US, we will definitely look at connected TVs and other platforms. We want to be everywhere. We want to be on as many platforms as possible. But as I said, reasonably embryonic at this stage, and a concentration on, let's get the network with our members built first, simultaneously look at markets like USA and Canada. Like, we're going to go up on CBC Canada, for example, like the members in the UK or members in Europe. We'll go up there, but we will certainly look at connected TVs, and it's being looked at in parallel. We're just not there yet.
Cool. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Well, listen, Glen, I'm afraid we've run out of time. That's all we've got time for. So please, everyone, join me in thanking Glen. Glen, thank you.
Thanks very much.